Good afternoon, everyone, or maybe good morning. I forgot to check the schedule. I'm sort of making that part up. Anyhow, nice to see everybody. I want you to know I got my board shorts on underneath this jacket, but you don't need to know that. Anyhow, Caitlin has presented this in years past and had a little baby boy appropriately for an Irish lass born on St. Patty's Day, and she might be here this morning. Hope she is. If you are, hi, Caitlin. And she put a lot of these slides together for the 2019, and I've sort of updated them for the 2019-2020 years. We need to note that we flew helicopter surveys in all the herds in 2019, only flew a single herd in the 2020 as they fell victim to the pandemic. So, as I like to say, tighten your cinch straps and we'll whip and spur here for the next 19 minutes because I think I got a full boat. Most of you are familiar enough with New Mexico that you'll know our herds by name. And because there are just 7 herds, we were able to discuss each of these by name. There were only 6 until the last meeting. We started this new Sacramento herd. There's been a little further division in these two meta populations in that those here on the right of the line are MOV infected with the COFA strain. The two populations down here in the boot heel are not, and we'll work our way through the Ladrone, Frog Cristobal Caballo, the big Sun Honors population. If you've been to the New Mexico hosting of the meeting, you've been on White Sands Missile Range, if you went on the field trip, the new Sacramento herd, and then in the boot heel, big and little hatchets, and the herd we share with Arizona, the Palencios. So we're gonna first walk through the big picture here, and this blue line is the population estimate. We're looking from 79 to 2019. The red bars are translocations. In more recent years, the pink are translocations from wild populations. The red bars being translocation from Red Rock. The barred stars here are barred bars are contributions from the COFA National Wildlife Refuge. And the yellow line is the number of lions removed. And so for years we had no lions removed, and then in about 2001 began the lion control after determining that 85% of the known cause of mortality was lion predation. And for those of you that have been around a long time, this will be familiar. Those of you who aren't, we like to look at that window of time between 1991 and 2001. You have a decade where we do translocations out of Red Rock of about 160 sheep. We start with 160 sheep. We've got 10 years of reproduction, and in 2001 we've got 160 sheep. It's like, well, we're really going nowhere fast. And it was at that point where all these sheep that had gone out had been collared, and we determined that, you know, most of them were being killed by lions, and we were going to stay on the endangered species list through perpetuity if we didn't try something different. And following the initiation of the lion control, for nearly 20 years, we continued growing every single year. Since the 2019 meeting, we've had 2 years of decline, the first years of decline since really 2000. And so we'll talk about that a little bit here as we move on to the looking at individual populations. So let's start here with Ladrone population, and we're going to start in the north and work our way south down to the boot heel. This Ladrone population is unique, at least in New Mexico, in that it covers over 70 linear miles. The core of the population is down here by this town of Socorro, runs along a big dry river corridor. The Ladrone complex itself is here, and there was a time when there were only about 10 ewes using these 70 miles, but We now find that this population has increased dramatically with a 5% positive population estimate, growth estimate to the 2019 numbers. We feel that we're in there at 150, 185. We continue to remove cougars in this population, more cougars than any other population. We see this long, part of it's because we've got such a big area to try and protect, and the fact that lions move in from all directions to that mountain range. The next population we will move to is this population on Ted Turner's ranch in the Fra Cristobal Mountains. That population has really gone from one of the largest, or the largest population, to really one of the smallest populations in the state. And that downturn has all occurred since about 2015, when in the helicopter surveys, the observed number of sheep gone from 265 to 112, 58% decline. We have an estimate here now, 136, 178. And we have a different lion control regime there. Lions are not removed range-wide as they are in most other ranges, but rather are removed following multiple known kills of bighorn sheep. And we feel that there has been some mortality from the MOV coming across, the Cova strain crossed, and we reported this in the last meeting, from the San Andres. But we've had, since 2015, there have been more than 20, or at least 23 radio-collared lions. Of course, uncollared lions in addition that use this mountain either partial of the time or much of the time. At least 9 or 10 of those lions have been removed because they've exceeded the lion kill rate. We know of no more than 60 bighorn sheep kills on this mountain due to lions. And of course, we don't know those lions, what the kills were prior to their being collared. We don't know the number of kills from uncollared lions unless they kill a collared sheep. And we did have a period of time where about 25% of the radio-collared ewes were killed in an annual cycle by lions. And so we think we've got the combination going, but perhaps lions are driving this population back down well below what we feel could be there, and we no longer are translocating from this population. If we go to the herd just straight to the south, here in the yellow, the Caballo population, we feel that population is increasing. We don't have great data on that. We did a ground survey to determine whether we could remove sheep, found at least as many sheep as we'd seen in the helicopter on a portion of that range, and decided to remove 24 to augment the Sacramento population. We have got a very robust lion removal program on that Sky Island. And although MOV has been detected, so we feel it's moved from the San Andres to the Fra Cristobals, now down into the Caballos, we haven't detected a large decline, but the fall survey may tell us more about that. I think more interestingly is the fact that in the early mid 2000s, we did a deer translocation onto this mountain. We were seeing about 7 deer per hour, which is about no deer, and we transplanted just over 100 deer into this mountain range simultaneously with doing the lion control. And we have increased the deer detection rate from 7 deer per hour to more than 50 deer per hour. I think the last survey was 53 deer per hour. Bighorn sheep have increased from 6 bighorn per hour to more than 40 bighorn sheep per hour. So this is one of the true recreation of a functioning ecosystem, in my opinion, with the 2 primary ungulates making a dramatic comeback. So, there's always controversy about translocating deer. I think if you translocate deer and control lions, you can be extremely successful. This has become one of the great hunt units. People, high success rates, people pretty excited about deer making a comeback in at least one mountain range in New Mexico. If we cross a valley to the big San Andres population that was started with the COFA translocation in 2001, this these sheep have primarily concentrated on the south end of the mountain. Here's the San Andres National Wildlife Refuge, established for desert bighorn sheep in the 40s. These sheep are using the entire length of the mountain with a little gap here based on GPS radio collar data. However, we did take 34 sheep out of here a couple years ago to start in 2018 to start the Sacramento herd, and we flew the helicopter survey in 2019, and that population appears to be on the decline. We saw the same number of sheep that we had seen in 2015. Now, there are not cougars being removed currently on this population. Historically, there was a considerable amount of lion removal. 3 of the last GPS radio collared sheep we feel were either lion kills or probable lion kills, and so we're very interested in the most recent, the next aerial survey to be done in there to see what's going on that big mountain range. Obviously way below what we feel the carrying capacity could be. Sacramento Mountains was this new start, 34 out of the San Andres in 2018, 24 captured out of the Caballos this past fall. We've only had 7 known mortalities in now 2 years and 4 months. The 2 interesting were ewes, and this is the first time New Mexico has translocated bighorn sheep into a mountain range with known Barbary sheep, and those Barbary sheep are hunted, and 2 of those ewes have been killed and self-reported, to their credit, by hunters who thought they were outad. Population estimate we feel is increasing, 60, maybe 71. The remarkable thing is the number of lions that have been removed from basically the core of this bighorn sheep habitat. And that is 14 in 2019-2020. An additional 6 lions have been taken. And we're talking in this little window. Here's some GPS radio collar data on bighorn sheep. This is just behind the town of Alamogordo on the west face of the Sacramento Escarpment. So basically about 8 miles by maybe 4 miles, 32 square miles, 100 square kilometers, less than 100 square kilometers, more than 20 lions have been taken right out of here. Now, we flew this prior to releasing sheep. There were a handful of Barbarys in there. Most of the Barbarys are to the south of here. And we did see 7 deer. So we think those 20 lions probably were not going to subsist on the handful of Barbary and the handful of deer. This would have clearly been a failure in the absence of lion control. Okay, let's run down here to the boot heel. We've got big hatchet, little hatchets. Difficult place to control lions. We do control lions, and there seem to be a lot of lions. We think we get lions out of Mexico from both sides, lions out of this big Animas mountain range. Some of the camera traps at the wildlife catchment units have got more photos of lions than of deer or bighorn sheep. You know, as I like to say, define the Kleiber equation. Here's a peek of the big hatchets. Here's the southeast corner of the boot heel. A lot of people forget that the country of Mexico is back east from New Mexico. So all of this to the east here, all these center pivots are in Mexico. This is the southern Mexican border with Mexico that runs across the boot heel. These are the big hatchets here, little hatchets here. And I'll note right here quickly that these are the Alamoeco, where previously there were bighorn sheep. We felt extirpated in probably the mid-90s by lion predation. We are interested in attempting to restart that with bighorn sheep from our captive breeding facility at Red Rock, which is also MOV free, I think I forgot to mention. Peloncillo Mountains over here in the yellow on the Arizona border. We feel, despite having translocated bighorn sheep out of there in 2018 or 2019 from the Red Rock captive breeding facility, have declined. There was a big wave of lions that moved in, showed up on camera, 5 or 7 lions. and that resulted in a huge pulse of lion predation, with 54% of the GPS collared ewes killed in a 10-month period, and even more remarkably, 46% of those ewes were killed in 94 days. Because of the jaguar, there was a jaguar run right here in 1996, a second jaguar run right here by our houndsman in 2006. We hunt this Palencia range with hounds rather than use our snare man. But we're hoping to see a return around on both of these boot heel populations in the next surveys. Okay, we're getting down here. Kaylin had this, and I'll just show it again. Here are the Arizona GPS collars. This is the I-10 corridor. This is the Lawrenceburg Playa. Arizona sheep come right to the freeway. New Mexico sheep run right to the freeway. Near the twain shall meet. It is a true barrier, the 4-lane freeway. We do know of a VHF collared ram that made it across and back, and a dead sheep that didn't quite make it across, so there are attempts, but this is a classic example of the barriers created by a interstate freeway. We're still at about 29 tags, basically 100% success rates, 193,000 at the sale in January, 150 the year before. Interestingly, if those of you paying attention, Rocky Mountain tags have gotten more expensive than desert tags in many instances. The Rocky tag that's sold simultaneously with this tag always have been behind the price of the desert tag. The last 2 years, the Rocky tag price has exceeded the desert tag price, and in fact this year $240,000 for the Rocky tag. Here's a little bit quick look at some of the research that's been conducted recently in New Mexico. We collaborated with a series of statisticians and researchers with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service out of the Albuquerque office to generate an accurate population estimate for capon area using camera traps and distance sampling. And we were able to use this in our captive breeding facility, where we have a known population, or known within 2 or 3 sheep most years. And so this paper was published recently in Scientific Reports. Caitlin continues to work on her master's thesis using a hybrid model for aerial surveys. And then we're also in prep of a abundance population persistence paper looking at minimum ewe numbers in the face of lion predation. So that's getting me down here to the end. How many people think that's a Rocky Mountain Bighorn sheep? Yeah, you're right. There's the ear tag, Arizona Rocky Mountain Bighorn sheep. This picture's taken on the White Sands Missile Range, right at the edge of the desert bighorn sheep habitat. We knew this ram was in New Mexico. He'd been seen further east and then disappears, shows up on camera on the White Sands Missile Range here on the morning of May 15th, 6:18. He's only going to live another about 10 minutes. So we dodged the hybridization event. Take a peek at this, though. It's fascinating to me. That's him coming into the drink in front of the camera. He walks away back up the drainage. Here comes big male lion. Gets even more interesting. Here, this male lion's close to probably the 30-yard sprint. Now look at the time here. We're at 6:27. This ram doesn't die. I think, well, we don't know when he's hit. I think he must get hit pretty soon because he's walking off. Look where this branch is here. Look at this next picture. So the lion at some point hits this ram, and then there's the fight back down this 30+ yards. And here's the kill shot. This lion has got this ram still apparently standing all the way back past this tree, and though they fought their way back down this slick rock, and this ram ends up dead. His skull was found by a butterfly researcher checking the pool of water here. And these photos are thanks to Gilbert Villegas, the hunt coordinator of White Sands Missile Range. They were hoping to put together a poster of this. and Rick Langley with Arizona Game and Fish were responsible, I think, for the ear tagging of this ram and the translocation data. And so we appreciate both of their cooperation on this pretty cool picture. There's my 20 minutes. I'm going to show you one more thing. Oh, here's my cooperators. Thank you. I'm going to go back and see if I can play. Oh, you know what? I was going to show you the movement corridor of that sheep. I'm out of time, so you'll have to just see that another time. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.